Hey guys, how we doing?
What's up?
I gotta adjust the light. Hold on, let me see. That light's bad, huh?
What's happening, y'all?
What's up, AJ?
What's going on?
I'm excited to be here.
Nice. Good to have you. Good to have you, brother.
Awesome. Boom. Let's do this, man. I'm excited for today. We're all pumped up.
Pumped up.
Ready to go? Ready to rock and roll?
I'm gonna turn out that light. You guys tell me if I'm just too dark.
Okay. We'll do that for you.
Yeah, AJ, I'm not in my Florida office, so I have stagers in my house right now, filling the downstairs. I don't have an office. I'm in my daughter's room. I got window washers outside. I got a plumber fixing a leak in a crawl space. I'm a mess right now.
I love it, man. Are we live right now, guys?
We are rocking and rolling.
Whoa.
There we go. Boom.
Whoa. Hey guys, how we doing?
Doing great, man. Doing great.
I'm good, man. Loving life.
We got AJ Mida all the way from Puerto Rico. How's the weather, baby?
Dude, as you can see on my head, it is bright outside, so the sun is shining.
Well, you're missing a great day in Charlotte. You're going to be jealous. It's cloudy, drizzly, and 52 degrees.
Yeah, man. I heard it's getting a lot of rain in the Carolinas, and Michigan is getting a lot of rain where I'm originally from. So,
yeah. Well, speaking of Michigan, okay, that's where you're from. That's where you went to high school, okay? Midwestern guys, let me tell you, are my favorite clients. They're just nice. They're humble. They always want our advice. I like the Midwestern clients. So, AJ, let's start off right now. We want to know a little bit about you. You tell us, was there a point in your life that you accomplished something that you said, you know something, I'm going to be successful. I have the fortitude to move forward. I don't care if it was Little League. Was what point in life that sparked for you?
yeah, I mean, I got interested in business probably as early as 7th grade when I was in, I think it was probably a business class, maybe a computer class, but we were basically doing a stock simulation game. And once the dream of playing in the NBA or NFL was out of the picture at a very young age, I always wanted to make a lot of money because growing up I didn't have a lot of money, so I saw the problems that could create. So I was always driven to be successful. So that stock game initially kind of got me thinking about success in business. But I remember very vividly my first business venture, I guess, right as soon as I got into college, really, that summer I was hired into a company called Student Painters. Basically what Student Painters does, it's mostly in the Midwest and the Northeast. We help college students run their own business using painting as a vehicle. So I was being hired as a branch manager, which meant I had to go out and find all my painting jobs. So I was doing the estimates, I was doing the marketing, I was hiring people to paint for me. And you have this preseason period where you need to market your business so you get enough paint jobs lined up for the summer to at least launch your business. And the owner of that company, a great mentor of mine in my life, Steve Acorn, sat me down because when I was coming home from college, I was really just hanging out with my buddies, doing that kind of stuff. And my sales were down. And he sat me down and was like, AJ, if your sales don't pick it up, I don't know if you can open your business this summer, which would have meant I would have been doing something else that summer, like maybe, I don't know, working at a theme park or something, who knows. And I told him in that moment, and we still remember this till that day, and this was like 15 years ago. I just was on his podcast not too long ago, and he remembers me saying it. I was like, Steve, if I fail at this, I fail at life, because it was that important to me that I wanted to be successful in business. Maybe a little dramatic, but I turned it around and became Rookie of the Year that year. So I learned that when you put your mind to something, anything's possible.
So AJ, your mentor Steve kind of challenged you. You met the challenge, and you saw you could be successful at this painting career. What brought you down the path to real estate?
Yeah, so I was, I did a couple different things in between getting into real estate and being a student painter in Michigan. I rose with that company for 4 years, became the general manager of the state, and then moved to California to do another business venture, and then moved to North Carolina. So once I got to North Carolina, I started up a painting crew there because I didn't know what else to do. And thank God I got into a four-wheeling accident, broke my leg. Thank God I didn't die, and it landed on my leg, not my head, the four-wheeler, because it was flipping. And during that, I couldn't get out there and do painting estimates as much as I would have normally because I was on crutches. And on my bookshelf, because I'm an avid reader, and when Borders was going out of business and Barnes and Noble was shutting down locations, I was buying all the clearance items. And one of the books that I bought was The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I had never read it. I probably had it for a couple of years at that time. And I learned from that book that you could run a business as a real estate agent, not just be a salesperson. And seeing that opportunity as an entrepreneur really spoke to me. I got my real estate license a couple months later, and the rest is history.
So we're talking about being an entrepreneur. And Jay, you and I both been entrepreneurs. And for my success being an entrepreneur, I lay in bed at night awake and I stare at the ceiling. And I can't get my mind off what's next and how we're going to build it. So you're an entrepreneur, Jay. How do you have that entrepreneurial spirit that drives you, that mindset to be a successful entrepreneur? Because you've been one for years.
Yeah. So AJ, you can probably agree, because anyone who's successful at a high level has to have a strong mindset and strategies in place to keep that mindset strong. And I know for me, I've had periods in my life that were really tough. Just like you were saying, AJ, if you don't win at this, you fail at life. I think that's what you had said. You fail at life if you don't succeed at that. And it's those moments that we hit that really that entrepreneurs embrace rather than shy away from, no matter how difficult it is to get through that. AJ, what would you say about mindset and what really makes you with your mindset, and maybe some practical takeaways that agents can get from you and how to maintain a strong mindset?
Yeah, thanks, man. Great question. It started in high school, just being an avid reader. I thank God really for instilling in me this idea of loving to learn. I think most people go through traditional school, then maybe college, and then after that they just stop learning. And it's really one of the saddest things to me in life is to see people who just stopped learning at such a young age. So I think it's something that you can learn. You can learn to love learning. So just first reading, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos are my primary ways to learn, hiring coaches, going to conferences, seminars. But just something super practical that somebody could do starting today is just getting a great personal development book, going to the library, picking one up off the shelf that they bought a while ago and never read, and just starting to read for 15 minutes a day in the morning. Or going to Apple Podcasts. I use an app called Stitcher for my podcast. I just like how it's organized. And there's a search box just like Google or YouTube, and you could type in expired listings. You could type in listing presentations. You could type in lead generation for real estate agents and search by episode, and you would get countless episodes about those different topics. So really just putting a growth plan in place to learn. And it could just be as simple as reading for 15 minutes a day and then getting some exercise. And that might just be walking around outside for 15 minutes. Just, move your body, get some fresh air going, read for 15 minutes a day. And if you're not currently doing anything for mindset, that will change your life within a matter of 30, 60, 90 days. I guarantee it. You'll feel like a new person. And just invest back in yourself, man. I'm sure, like you guys, you invest back in yourself with conferences. Since I've been in real estate, I've spent somewhere over $300,000 on coaches and conferences and seminars and masterminds. So you always got to invest back in yourself with part of your revenues.
So AJ, you just told everyone, we're going to read a lot. We're going to, get the right mindset, invest back in yourself. Now, Jay, you're a very organized person. You're very successful. With all the tips AJ is giving us over the years, how do you strategize to achieve that and track your goals? What did you do to move your business forward in that direction?
Sure. So to hit on a couple of things that you said, AJ, I like that you said YouTube videos, because in one of my most challenging times, it was as simple as getting into a morning routine to get out of my funk, to get into a morning routine where I watched a 12-minute Tony Robbins priming exercise every single morning. And you have probably seen the same thing or been through it, right? Where you're going through and you're breathing in through the nose and you're taking all that wind in you. And it was an awesome way to start. And then on the way to the gym, I would just listen to like a 3-minute motivational. And for me, mindset and strategy and organization and consistency is really all in the same. And I was talking to my wife about this the other day. So I hope she doesn't watch this, because she always judges me whenever I mention her. She always thinks I'm like saying something out of character about her, but it's not. It was a normal conversation where I had said, Jess, when we are consistent, I want to be better, because I want to own things first. I want to be better at being consistent in my morning schedule and in what I do and how I lead my kids, because when I am, I get better and I enjoy life more and I'm happier. And she feels a lot of times that it's very rigid, but it doesn't have to be. That just happens to be me, and I need to step away from that a little bit. But if someone can go from one end of the spectrum and move even like 6 feet closer, then by having that organization in your life and that structure, it just leads to a better mindset, all in all, especially a strong morning routine.
Oh, that's awesome. Jay, love that. Now, AJ, Jay just talked about his strict morning routine and what to do. Give us your average day, what you do that makes you accountable, that you keep going forward and just hitting all your goals and being successful.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much my average day nowadays would help people, just because I'm at a different point in life and business. But my daily routine when I was actively selling real estate, when I was what I call the grind phase, where it's like you're either going to succeed in real estate or fail, like that's grind phase. So while I was in that, I was very strict with my routine. While I was in Charlotte selling, it involved getting up in the morning at about 4:50 a.m., working out with a group in the Southeast, primarily called F3, that workout group. So I'd be working out by 5:30 outside for 45 minutes. Didn't matter if it was snowing or raining, I was out there. And then reading something, praying, eating something healthy, and then role-playing my scripts before being on the phone at 8 a.m. Not checking my email, not checking social media, not replying to email, not replying to any clients that may have left the voicemails the previous night. It's very important that you guard your mind in the mornings so that you can nail those most important tasks first. And then for me personally, my goal was to do that for a period of time so I didn't have to do that anymore. Like I like to really enjoy my mornings with a cup of coffee, read, watch a couple of YouTube videos, and do my creative work in the mornings. And then I work out around lunchtime now. But the most important thing that I still adopt from then and I still adopt today is it's very rare when I have any appointments in the morning. You know, this was the first thing, and this was 12 Eastern, that I had scheduled for the day. I typically won't schedule anything before 12 Eastern because I'm still guarding my mornings, guarding my mental energy to work on my most creative stuff, which is for me now content creation. So that's what it looks like more now.
Great stuff, AJ. You're known for your social media presence. Okay. You're very good at networking. So for me, I'm old school, right? Integrating social media into my platform was not comfortable. Okay. So Nick, that's something that you excel at. And Nick is trying his best to help me along. So Nick is my social media mentor. I get help from him. So Nick and AJ, I'm not the guy that wants to integrate social media into my business. So Nick, let's start with you. How does a realtor like me start integrating this stuff that I hate and it's very uncomfortable?
Well, that's a great question, Bill. And I think really where you start with something like that is with the understanding and realization that social media is not just this fun thing that all the millennials do. It is something that everybody is a part of. And it's something that we have to redefine. I think if we get stuck in that mindset, of, like AJ said, if you get stuck in that mindset, you got to get out of it, right? You got to want to break free from that. And I think so many times, a lot of realtors who've never really incorporated any form of social media into their business, they get this feeling that they're just never going to get into it. And so I always start with this. You got to redefine what social media in real estate, in your business, means. And it's no different than anything that you've ever done, Bill. Anybody out there that's been a great, that has built a great repeat referral business, well, social media in marketing is essentially networking and growing on your repeat referral business through your sphere to the max. That's what it is. And so I wanted to ask AJ this question, because I see we got a bunch of people, have commented in some of our chats. I know we got a couple of different chats going. But just a reminder, guys, if you want to have your comments or questions show up, just drop a comment, and one of these chats, I will make sure to find it and put it on screen, because I know there's a lot of guys out there, everyone out there looking to ask AJ a question because he's such a rock star. But AJ, I wanted to pose the question to you. In terms of content, because that's always the first question I get is, Nick, well, where do I start? What do I even do? What would be some easy, basic, like, ABC 1, 2, 3, 101 for beginners content that people could make and start out on social media?
So topic wise or platform wise, or both?
Topic wise, I think, and platform wise. Yeah. Okay,
cool. Yeah, and I just want to touch on what Nick was saying, because it was gold, kind of like redefining how you're looking at social media. I have that very basic principle in my life. It's just like having this belief that I can figure things out, and it helps when you redefine what something is, to kind of open your mind to being more open to pursuing that. You just got to be willing to figure things out. That's one common trait that all successful people have, is they're willing to figure things out, or to partner with people who can help them with something, or to pay for a service that can help them with something. But man, platform wise, start where you are. So if you're on Facebook now and you're not really active on Instagram, then just start on Facebook. Get good at posting at least once a day on Facebook. And if you want to take it to the next level, take that same exact post, the same picture, the same text, and put it on Instagram. Just literally copy and paste. Like, that's pretty much what I still do for most of my posts on Instagram, because I don't want to take a lot of time on Instagram. It's not my primary platform. So just keep it super simple. And there's so many tools, and even Facebook has built-in tools now, like Creator Studio, that just makes it so easy to post and to schedule posts out. Like, there's no excuse really at this point, in my opinion, to only stick to one platform. You could easily be putting that same post on LinkedIn, Instagram. I never really bought into Twitter. I still don't get Twitter, so I chose not to figure that one out. But like YouTube, if like this Facebook Live that we're doing right now, there's no reason why this shouldn't be downloaded and put on a YouTube channel. You could even take that audio, strip the audio from the video, and make that into a podcast. So there's just super easy ways to take the content and just multi-purpose it to all the platforms. But to just keep it very simple, just start where you are. And if you want, take that same post, put it on LinkedIn, put it on Instagram. That is kind of where I would stick with agents. And then, man, if you're not doing video for your local market as a realtor at this point, like the neighborhoods, talking about what's great about it, you're missing a huge opportunity. So topic-wise, if I'm an agent, day one, brand new market, I'm doing a great video with me standing in front of every neighborhood, with me standing in front of every shopping center where people might like to visit, every restaurant that's cool, all the neat things to do in your town, driving through neighborhoods, showing the houses, like, just get creative with the content. And there's keyword research with YouTube. People don't understand this, but right now I was just curious, and I typed in Cornelius, North Carolina, homes for sale, like Cornelius NC homes for sale recently. And there was like, it was like 480 or like 720 monthly searches on YouTube for Cornelius NC homes for sale. Like, that's a lot. To put that in perspective, like, I'm trying to rank for things like expired listings, like how to call expired listings or expired listing prospecting. There's like between 50 and like 200 searches in the country for those. So it's a lot of searches happening for local type real estate. So what you do is in the tags, when you're posting a video to YouTube, you just type in like Charlotte, NC homes for sale, best neighborhoods in Charlotte, and you tag your video, and then you start to rank as a video. So when people search those phrases, you're showing up first. Man, like it makes me want to start like building a real estate business in some random town just to implement a strategy like that. Because I honestly would think it would be very easy if you're willing to commit to video and you do it consistently.
Build it in Puerto Rico, man.
Yeah.
But I definitely do not want to sell real estate in Puerto Rico. There's no MLS, and I don't speak Spanish.
So AJ, you brought up a great point about video and YouTube. Okay, Nick is having me doing my daily videos now. Okay, so I'm getting used to the camera. So there's people out there who feel very uncomfortable about video and uncomfortable about YouTube. So Nick, AJ, why don't you bring in some points about that? AJ, why don't you start off?
I mean, everybody feels uncomfortable the first time they do a video. If they don't, they would be like considered a unicorn. They would be a very unique person. Of course, the spectrums of how scared you are to shoot a video might vary. But man, my first 20, 30 videos, I was very uncomfortable. I felt like an idiot. Like if you go back to my YouTube channel and just type in AJ Mida into YouTube, and if you can do this for anybody, go to their channel and sort by their oldest videos. Like I love to do this to still give me encouragement to see how bad their videos were and how good they are now. Like I think my videos are decent now, but I've recorded a couple hundred videos. Go back to my first ones. I think I look ridiculous, but I leave them up because I want people to see that if they want to go back and look at them for encouragement to see like, oh man, AJ sucked and now he's halfway decent. I could do the same. So it's just about, putting yourself out there, knowing you're going to suck at first. Nobody's going to start off good on video. You're just not. Your videos are not going to start off looking good. I don't care how much time you spend researching. I don't care how expensive the camera is that you buy. I don't care the lighting kit that you have. Your initial videos are going to suck. And the only way to get better is by doing them. And I'm excited to continue to get better because I got a long way to go, but I'm a long way away from where I started.
I think I would have to agree. That's something that's so key to remember, that it's okay to not be great right at the beginning, right? Like these things take time. I saw a quote the other day. It was like, if you look really, really closely, all of those get rich quick schemes and everything out there, the guys that made it and are successful took a really long time to get there. So no matter what you do, if you're going to be great at something, it takes that time and repetition. And so I like what you said about kind of motivating yourself, going back and looking at those original videos. I honestly, it's so simple and probably so cliche, but we're all big sports fans here. We all miss some sports, on a side note. But one thing that I always remember is it's so simple. Just do it. If you're trying to overcome that fear, like Bill was saying, how do we overcome the fear of video? You just do it. You just try. It's like they always said, practice in a mirror, or just go live. If you make a mistake, it makes you human. I always say that. Like everybody makes mistakes on video. Nobody's perfect. So, it just makes you more relatable. Just do it. Go out, get out of your comfort zone. And, if I can get Bill to do it, I think anybody listening right now, they know Bill Price, old school, sold over 500 homes, top realtor in his area, didn't want to do video ever. And if I can get him to do it, old school as he is, anybody out there can definitely do these videos.
I just want everyone to know that Nick loves to associate my name with old. Okay. So listen, AJ, you brought up my first video sucked. So I was scrolling through some of Jay Kinder's videos, and we know Jay has a massive presence online. Good friend of ours, right? We were in New York City at McSorley's having a beer a few months ago, three of us, right? And
that's awesome.
Puerto Rico. He came up from Texas, beat you and Al. So I'm watching his videos yesterday, and he has one from 10 years ago, and he has a whiteboard, and he wrote a word, and he looks, he goes, I think I spelled that wrong. I did spell that wrong. I don't know how to spell. So, and you know, I looked at it, it's got thousands of views. So, and he has a massive presence. So it's still up there. And look, I looked at it 10 years later. And when you saw him, he looks like a baby face. He looks like he's 18. It's so funny. Well, listen, Jay has always talked about superpower. Everyone has some kind of superpower. Jay, my superpower, I think anyway, is maybe two things. I work really hard. I work harder, not smarter. That's my flaw. But I connect with people. And I think I've done a lot of listings because I just connect with people. So, Jay, could you talk about the importance of defining your superpower, finding what it is, brand yourself, and then AJ, share your superpower with us.
Sure. Let me touch first on the social media, right? Like, you know, Bill Price having a hard time getting in social media. I don't look at those two words, social media. I look at it as what AJ was saying, a platform. It's a marketing platform. It's not a billboard. It's not a postcard, but it's a marketing platform. And that's how we all have to be thinking about, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Just like AJ said, you start at one, get really good at it by a lot of practice. My first professional video, I don't know what the hell professional is, but my first professional video that I thought, I had got all the equipment. This was like 3.5 years ago. And I stood in front of this video and I read off this script because I'm a script guy, just like you, AJ. And I want to talk to you about that. But it took me 88 takes to shoot a big steaming piece of garbage. Oh my God, it was awful. And I go back and I look at that and I was like, you know, and I look at 2.5 years ago instead of 3.5. And I was like, well, I was better, but it's the same thing. And it's the same thing about prospecting too. You know, and I know AJ, you're a god at prospecting. Like that's where you are now. And I would say my superpower is first the resilience, right? Just like you were saying, Bill, the hard work, the dedication, the determination. When I was in college, I was a freshman in college and I went on an interview for Disney. Never been on an interview in my life before. I was born very poor and I wasn't sure what a Disney interview would be. I thought it's Disney, it's fun. I had a tie-dye shirt and Jenko jeans on. So I go into this interview. It's me and this one other person, and they ask this question: how will you get down? I lived in Massachusetts at the time, Amherst. How will you get down to Florida to do this internship? And I didn't have a car. And the answer that came to my mind first is I said, listen, I will find a way. And if I have to, I will ride my bike down there if that's what it takes. And having that mindset of this outcome that I'm looking for, whatever that is, I will do whatever it takes. I will run through any wall to get there, is what it takes, and is what it takes to be a great prospector as well. So I would say, asking the right questions in prospecting and understanding and listening and understanding the psychology behind it. Because if you already know, here's the deal, right? AJ, you'll get this. When you prospect really well, it's like having the answers to the test already, right? Because you know what they're going to say. They all say the same thing. You just have to be prepared and you have the answers already. You just have to not be afraid to use them. Yeah. That's all. AJ, can you talk to us about your superpower and maybe hopefully a little bit about prospecting too?
Cool, definitely. I've never really thought of my superpower, but I'm glad that Bill went to you first, so I had a chance to think about it for a second there. I would say, first of all, my perseverance. In high school, our basketball banquet that we had every year, I actually got a little plaque with like mountains that had a nice quote about perseverance. I was never the most talented, but I was always willing to persevere because I believe, and it's great when you have core beliefs about yourself and what you can accomplish. I believe that anything I put my mind to, I'm going to succeed. Failure is not an option. So I persevere through any obstacle, and I understand at the same time that I'm going to fail a lot on the way to that success, but failures along the way are just opportunities to learn. So it's perseverance with, I guess a note underneath that with willingness to learn, because if you keep persevering doing the same thing over and over and over, you're just going to be like hitting your head on a wall over and over and over, and you might not get a breakthrough. But if you persevere with a willingness to learn, a willingness to get better, maybe change your strategy, change your approach, you will succeed. That's just the reality. So you will succeed. And then prospecting, man, nothing, that applies so directly to prospecting. It's like not even funny. And really anything that you want to be successful at. But prospecting initially, man, like my first year in real estate was awful. I was just all over the place. I had no clear focus. And when you have no clear focus, you're not going to do really well. So once I found that clear focus by going to a real estate conference, hiring a coach, and finding what my focus should be, it took off. So, there's a few fundamentals that you need to succeed with prospecting. Is you need to have a set of scripts that you're going to use to have a great conversation with somebody. You practice those scripts, you internalize them so they become your own and they feel natural. I love what he says, like having answers to the test. It's so true. There's like five or six main objections you're going to get when calling FSBOs, expireds. It doesn't matter. The expireds don't change. We have our scripts. It's like the sellers have their scripts. It's like they all got together and said, hey, when an agent calls you about your house being for sale by owner, say this to them. And they don't change. So it's like once you learn those, you're gold. And it's just so funny with prospecting or real estate in general, people don't practice their skills. They don't practice their scripts. It's like if you're going to audition, do you think Tom Hanks showing up to audition for a part in a movie? I don't even know if he has to audition because he's Tom Hanks. I don't know how that works. But imagine, earlier in his career when he had to audition, like he knows his scripts. And we have these scripts that are like, all of them can fit on like 5 pages, like pretty good sized font space. So it's not like a single, these little tiny words. Like if you just learn that one time, you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year as a real estate agent, create freedom, because when you're focused on prospecting sellers, you can have freedom because you can control your schedule more, set boundaries, not have to work every Saturday and Sunday holding open houses and showing buyers. So, man, it's just like be willing to learn, get the right tools, get a mentor, and just be consistent with it. It's, we've probably all heard this by now, that success is simple, it's just not easy. And the part that's hard is being consistent. So get accountability. That helps with consistency.
One thing, sorry to interrupt. I know you're going to say something, Bill. I just have one thing that's going to be so important, and it resonated with what you said, AJ. You were talking before about, I take it as humility, right? Like it's okay to fail. We all have to get better. If we're not growing, we're dying. We have to be in the learning mindset. So I just want to let you know, and you probably did the same exact thing, but it's okay, guys, to have the scripts in front of you, no matter how long you've been in real estate. I would have the scripts in front of me when I'm prospecting every single time, because it's a prompt to get back to where you need to be in the conversation, because all they are is it's an outline. It's a guiding conversation.
Hey, Jay, can I tag on to that too? Because
Sure.
One of my favorite interviews, and see, you know what? I might be the millennial here, but Bill and you and Jay, you guys will recognize this, but Billy Joel did an interview one time where they were talking about that song, We Didn't Start the Fire. And it's, it's really long. He's got all these lyrics and stuff. And someone was asking, how do you never screw that up? How do you always, get it right? He said, well, I got the script for the song. He's like, for some reason, I have a book with all the words and I have it right in front of me on the piano. He's like, I never look at it, but just knowing that it's there, it helps me stay on track. And I think that's the same exact principle.
That's awesome, Nick. I love the story because, I'm a big Billy Joel fan. Just don't tell us any Patriot stories, okay? So we're talking about prospecting, okay? So we know I'm old school. I prospected my clients how? I networked a community. I sponsorshiped a community. I farmed a community, okay? So AJ and Nick, you guys both did a lot of prospecting through social media. AJ, you did it getting clients to sell real estate, and also you have a real estate team and an organization. You prospect and try to attract agents that way. So please take us down that path. How do we prospect with social media?
You want me to take this one first?
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
And this is for selling houses?
Or anything.
Selling houses, attracting, agents to a team, to an organization, both, however you think.
I love it. And I love your Billy Joel story, Bill, when you were actually in London for that. Right? Is London?
Yes, went to London to see Billy Joel. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. What a neat experience. So, man, like social media is just so powerful. It's like if you just look at social media with this very like basic viewpoint of it's called social media, which means you should be social. So, you'll get a weird friend request from someone that you never heard of, but you accept it, and then you never like engage with that person. So I kind of start with my mindset around generating business on social media with that, be social. So if I send a friend request or if someone sends me a friend request, I'm going to start a conversation through Messenger. So if someone sends me a friend request, I always ask, once I accept it, I say, and you can do voice notes through Messenger, which is really effective. You can also do video if you want. I'm not dressed this nice. I usually have like a tank top on for the gym. So I'll do a voice note and I just say something like, hey, awesome. Thanks for the Facebook friend request. Just out of curiosity, what caused you to reach out? Because there could be a purpose they're reaching out to you, or they might just be reaching out for the heck of it. You don't know. But I've had like my main business right now, like what I'm trying to do is get more relationships with agents to help them join my nationwide real estate team. And sometimes they just reach out. Yeah, I've been following you for a little while, your journey and what you're doing. And, I want to hear more about what you got going on. Like for me, that's like a lead right there. But had I not asked why they friend requested me, I would have never known. So it's the same thing with real estate. If real estate sales, maybe someone sends you a friend request because they saw a great listing that you had that your friend shared on their profile, and then their friend liked it and saw that you were the agent, sent you a friend request, and now they're following you, but you don't know that's a lead because you never reached out and asked why they decided to friend request you. So that's kind of a basic principle on Facebook. You can do the same thing with Instagram, really, with followers and following people. But if you want to be a little more proactive, if it's real estate sales, start friend requesting people who live in your community. It doesn't matter if you don't know them, but start friend requesting them. You can set a goal to send 5-10 requests a day. That can be your social media prospecting. And then once they accept, you say, hey, thanks for accepting my friend request. I see that you also live here in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's a beautiful area. Did you grow up here or did you move here? So you have a little banter back and forth. And then you can say, hey, well, I just want to let you know that I'm a local real estate agent. Just out of curiosity, if you ever go to buy or sell a house, do you have an agent that you're committed to, or would you be open to giving me the opportunity to earn your business? And if they say they're committed to somebody, awesome. That's the end of it. Like, you don't need to keep going after that. But most people will probably say, no, I actually don't have an agent. Well, now that becomes a nurture. It becomes part of your nurture farm that you follow up with in a systematic way, and you build out this pipeline of nurtures called your nurture farm. And eventually, man, you can have over 1,000 people who were cold, who told you that they would interview you when the time comes to buy or sell a home. And that's how you become a top agent in a market. It's not hard. You can do that in 12 to 18 months. So
love that.
Oops.
Yeah, great.
You're supposed to go now.
Yeah,
am I supposed to go? Okay.
Yeah.
You
I don't want to cut off
I-
AJ. I know, AJ, what you were just saying, man, that's so awesome. I wanted to take it in another direction too. We're talking about prospecting, because a lot of times prospecting, we get a negative connotation where we think, oh, it's this taboo word. Well, I don't want to do prospecting. I don't want to make cold calls and do all that. But we often forget, like you just said, AJ, social media, we're supposed to be social. So, if you friend someone in your community or you're reaching out, it's not, unusual. Like, I always get these people that are nervous, right? They say, Nick, I don't really want to be that guy. I don't want to be the one reaching out and doing that. But it's not weird to do that. Like, that is perfectly normal. Like, people in other businesses do it all the time. This is what social media is for, is to make those new connections. And I'll give a great example on how you can be more of a leader in a community, well-known in your community, to prospect. As a good friend of ours who's going to be joining us later, John Smith, who gets a bunch of big interviews. He's on a bunch of podcasts. He's been on radio. He's been on, all these different platforms. And a lot of people would ask, and he told me, he's like, people always ask me how I'm able to get those opportunities. And he's like, it's so simple. I just ask, right? I mean, it's literally just, you can't hurt to ask. And I actually started applying that stuff. And, there was some people that I was connected with that were doing this big launch event for here locally. There's a district race being run, in the elections in November for a local judge. And I just, hey, I'll be a part of it. Let me be a part of this. Can I help you guys out with this launch event you guys are doing? And then I was asked to be the moderator. So this event that's happening next week, I had no idea what was going on a week ago. I had, only knew like one or two people that were involved with it. Right. But then because I asked and said, hey, how can I help? I do live streams and events. And I can help you guys set up the tech side. I offered to help them, showed some value, as AJ was saying, do you have an agent or can I help? How can I, be connected with you? And then all of a sudden I was asked to basically moderate the event. So it's little things like that. It's just realizing that, hey, it's not unusual. You're not being weird to, reach out to your neighbors and say, hey, I'm starting a local neighborhood community Facebook group. I noticed there wasn't one for our subdivision. And I know it's a newer community, but, it's a couple years old now. I thought we should have a neighbors page. It's not unusual to do that. And in fact, by you taking the lead and the charge on that as the realtor, that gives you so much power. Because now you're in control of that group and you have leverage and influence over, the members in that group. So that's the leverage you gain through social media. And AJ, I don't know if you want to respond to that. I saw you had something to comment on with that, being a community influencer.
Man, I love your tip to create a community like that. Like, I think that's gold. I mean, social media is just so awesome what we can do with it now. But I was just thinking kind of as you're talking about, prospecting being like a dirty word, and, lead generation sounds a little bit nicer to a lot of people. And it's funny. Like, I think of prospecting, like, I love those gold mining shows, Gold Rush. If you guys ever seen that, I think it's on History Channel. And it's like, you got to go through all this dirt to find the gold. They're prospectors is what they are. But I was just thinking, because someone needs to hear this right now that's watching this, or somebody watching it in the future. If you don't have business coming to you on a consistent basis from referrals, from past clients, from your sphere, you need to prospect for business. You're a salesperson. And if you're not where you want to be financially, you have to prospect or you're going to stay broke. That's where I was. And once I got that through my head, I made a lot of money. And it becomes fun. It becomes so fun once you build this habit of prospecting. And think too, people are going to reject you on social media. People are going to reject you on the phone. Rejection's a part of life. The person you're married to is probably not the first person you ever asked on a date. If that's the case, you've probably been rejected in that way. So rejection is very normal. You probably get rejected from your kids all the time. You want them to do something, they say no. Rejection is normal, guys. So get comfortable with rejection and get comfortable with prospecting. Your goals are too big not to get comfortable with the idea of prospecting. Your goals are too important. And if you don't have goals that are big and goals that are important to you, then you got to start there, because you're not going to take action, massive action, if you don't have a reason why. So
guys, we gave a lot of nuggets for prospecting. Nick, let's look at the chat. What's the audience out there saying about prospecting? Are they sharing any of their feedback and their tips they do?
Yeah, so we had some people commenting in the groups about, trying to get deeper into the prospecting, because I think, AJ, you had mentioned earlier that doing things with a systematic approach. And so there was a comment that was asking about kind of what your system is. And I think this can apply to prospecting and realtors, or, you grow your team, or also, to grow your business. What is your system, like your step-by-step? What's your process, from sending the message to closing the deal?
Yeah, awesome. I saw that Todd posted too, Go for No. I love Go for No. If you guys haven't read that book, it's like the quickest little read you'll ever read. And it's such a good book. It's like a story about sales around this concept of Go for No. So highly recommend that book. But yeah, man, so the process, I just did a video on that actually. I think it went out last week on my channel or is going out soon. But it's a complete video on lead follow-up. So it's a 4-prong approach that I follow, that I teach. It consists of phone calls, text messages, emails, and mailing, like a thank you card, and then ongoing postcards. So it's a 4-prong approach. And just to keep it very basic for the purpose of this, the time we have today, if someone that you're prospecting expresses interest that they still want to sell their home, you always end the call, because most calls that you make, and it can be the same thing, text on social media. So most calls, most conversations that you have do not end in an appointment. So if you make 49 calls, so you get 49 no's, we're not ready right now, and then on the 50th call you get an appointment, there's 49 people that you need to know what to do with them. And the fortune's in the follow-up. Most of your appointments come from the follow-up. So end the call the same way every time. This is what I call your nurture script. So the call's wrapping up. It's very clear that you're not going to get the appointment. You can say something, and I already said this for Facebook, but you just say, hey, Mr. Seller, I got to run, but just out of curiosity, when you go to sell your home in September, do you have an agent that you're obligated to, committed to, however you want to say that, or are you open to interviewing me for when the time comes to sell your home? If they say yes, they'll interview you. Follow up with them. If they say, well, my brother, my neighbor, then don't follow up with them, because they're not going to, forget their family member, forget their best friend, or create a bad relationship with their neighbor and go with you. Like, maybe if you try really, really, really hard, they will, but there's just so many prospects out there, like, don't even go for it. So once they become a nurture, then you want to cut the time in half. So if they say, hey, you know what, we're going to sell probably in 3 months, you want to call them back in 6 weeks. If you don't cut the time in half, what happens when you call them in 3 months? They're not going to remember you because too much time passed. And they're probably going to say, actually, we just sold our house, or actually, we just listed our house, because that happens often. So you always want to cut the time in half. With the exception, if it's more long-term, like if they say, hey, you know what, we're not going to sell until next spring, so a year out from now, well, then you don't want to cut it in half, because in 6 months, they won't remember you. So call them every 2 to 3 months. And then on top of that, in between the calls, you can send a text message. As soon as you get a nurture, you send a thank you card in the mail. And then monthly, they should be receiving an email, a postcard, getting either a text or a phone call. So there's 3 touches every single month. Basically, what you're doing is you're taking these prospects, these cold prospects, as soon as they become a nurture, you warm them up by putting them in your sphere and a past client campaign. And a past client campaign should have those 4 elements. So you're just inviting them into that offering that you have. So you could be doing giveaways, you could be doing client appreciation parties. You just bring them in like part of the family. And when you do that on a daily basis, you are going to become a top agent really fast. Every day, if you're calling for 2 to 3 hours, like you should be, you'll generate between 3 and 5 nurtures. That's 25 a week. That's 100 a month. By the end of the year, that's 1,200 people who said, yes, we will interview you when the time comes. Man, you will start taking 4 listings a month in no time, and you will be rocking it. So.
And then AJ, anyone that gets back to you, that's when you put them in your sphere. You're not putting everyone in your sphere, only the ones that reach back out to you, correct?
Only the ones who become a nurture. So if they say they'll interview me, I'll put them in. And just real quick to wrap up that script that I was saying, once they say they'll interview me, I say, okay, great. I'd love to send you some information. Is that okay? They'll say yes. They think you're just going to mail it to them. So you then follow that up with, awesome, what's your best email? So they've already committed to letting you send them something. Because most people, it's like you go to Home Depot, they want your social security number, your phone number, your birth date, like all this stuff. Like most people just will say no if you ask for an email flat out. So you get them to commit to receiving something, and then you say, all right, great, what's your best email? And you'll get it like 90+% of the time. then they become part of your sphere, man. That it's so cool because I did it so wrong for like 2 years, and I still sold 36 houses my second year by myself, and I was only calling. But when you develop a 4-prong approach, it's game over. Like they said, they'll interview you if you follow a 4-prong approach. They are going to hire you. Is it going to be easier for them? Are they going to be more comfortable going to Google and finding an agent, or are they just going to use you, who's been following up with them for weeks, months, or years? Who they've got your shiny picture on their fridge likely. They have text messages in their phone. They saw a nice little video newsletter that you sent out. That's in their email. They probably shared it with their neighbor. Like, dude, guys, it's so easy and so hard at the same time. And that's where accountability comes in. Like, if you guys like what I'm talking about, get an accountability partner and say, hey, guys, hey, by in the next 2 weeks, we're both going to have the system that we just learned about documented on our wall and in our CRM. And we're going to follow up with each other to make sure we're following it. Like, you need accountability to implement stuff like this.
Hey, so AJ, do you want to answer?
Hey, sorry, Nick. I just got to share with AJ. One time I was prospecting, and I asked a girl at a bar if she had a cell phone, and she said yes, because it's the obvious answer. And then I said, great, what's the number? And then and then I married her.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Wow.
Yeah.
Just to show it works.
Yeah, so prospecting works. Jay got married. There you go. The proof's in the pudding. So AJ, we had another couple questions. So Crystal was asking down below, how do you handle that approach of the interview and posing that? Because really what we were just talking about was for sellers. So how do you handle that with buyers in that approach?
Yeah, it depends what type of lead it is. So, if it's like a referral, that's going to be a little bit different. If they're not ready right now, I'm going to put them in that campaign that I was talking about and just follow up with them naturally. But if it's like a Facebook lead, Google lead, Zillow lead, open house lead, it's a little more aggressive. You want to first you want to just get in touch with them. So if you're already on the phone with this person, just follow that 4-prong approach that I just mentioned. If it's a lead that comes in that you haven't talked to yet, it's completely different. If you just Google 10 days of pain, like it sounds so bad, but just Google 10 days of pain, that will put you in the right direction. But basically it's like, as soon as the lead comes in, call them back within 5 minutes. The longer you wait, the less chance you have of ever getting hold of them. That initial phone call, if they don't answer, call them back immediately, because some people are going to say, who the heck's calling me? I wonder if it's an emergency. I'm going to answer. So then you'll get more contacts that way. And then there's text templates. So if you guys want to remind me after this call and you want to give it out to the group or whoever, I have a whole list of like 100 text messages that are part of your action plan that you just fire off the text messages. So you integrate calls, text messages, emails, and it's really called 10 Days of Pain because it's a 10-day period where you want to do a really good job trying to get that person on the phone, and you want to use different communication because some people will never answer their phone, so you got to text. So it's just remember this with follow-up. You will lose many deals if you don't follow up enough, and you are unlikely to ever lose a deal for following up too much. That's just a basic thing to remember. If you think you're following up a lot, you're probably still not following up enough.
AJ,
remember.
I try to train that, AJ, with all my agents. I'd rather have people tell me, stop calling. Stop calling. Because so many times I sit down at a listing appointment, Bill, you're here today because you kept calling. You kept emailing. I'd rather hear that one time out of every 10 and told 9 times to bugger off, right? Leave me alone. So listen, AJ, before you go, I got a question for you, okay? What one thing do you wish you knew when you were a rookie agent? If you could go back in time, what's one thing you would implement or you wish you knew right off the bat? I mean, one thing I didn't know how damn hard it was going to be, right? But what's one thing you knew that you could implement right away?
Man, I would have hired a coach right off the bat, and I would have paid for a coach. Like we all have amazing things happening, like the people that we're helping that are part of our teams, and we're doing it for free. But everything changes when you put money out of your pocket. You got to have skin in the game. And I'm not selling anything, and I'm telling you guys this. Like, you have to put some skin in the game. I mean, I can give you everything I've ever learned in a nice packaged box with a bow on it, and there's a good chance a year from now that nice little package is still going to be sitting there with a nice bow on it. When you pay for it, you're going to open it, you're going to go through the materials, and you're going to take it seriously. A coach is going to help you with what you should be focused on. A coach is going to give you encouragement. A coach is going to help you break through limiting beliefs. And you just got to be okay. I think most people don't hire a coach because they're afraid it's not going to work. They're afraid that maybe it's the wrong coach. And I have hired wrong coaches, but that's okay because I found the right ones. But there's two reasons why someone won't hire a coach. Well, really one reason. The reason is it's because they don't believe in themselves to take action on what they're learning. That's the reason. They don't believe in themselves. If they did, they would hire the person that has the information. They would take the information. They would go implement it. And it's all mindset game. Like we started this call with like mindset. Like, what do you do for mindset? You can go on YouTube right now, spend the next 12 hours getting all the free information that you need to make $1 million a year in real estate. It's all there. It is all there for free. The problem is it's scattered. You don't know what to focus on. There's no accountability to help you implement it all. So that's where coaching comes in. They put it in a nice little sequence, a little path for you to follow, and they give you accountability to implement, to take action, to make the calls. So man, I just believe in coaching so much.
Hey, AJ, I just wanted to mention you're getting blown up with requests, by the way. I know you probably see all these requests down here for that 100 text templates. So we're going to have to post that later on our page. And guys, again, connect with all of us on social media. We're at Realistic Realtors Coaching is where we post the video, but connect with AJ as well. Reach out. We'll make sure those links are uploaded so everyone who's watching can see that content. But AJ, you're getting blown up right now, man.
Cool. Yeah, I love it. I'll get that over to you guys. So don't contact me for the template. And it might not be 100. It might be 140. It might be 80. I don't know. You're probably going to use about 10 of them, but they're all good. And if you guys want some more info, follow me YouTube. Just type in AJ Mida. You'll find me. I'm in the middle of a 10-part series on expired listings. Just recorded episode 7 today. That will be released next Tuesday. Just had an episode go up last night. So it's all good stuff, guys. I love what you're doing here, man. Adding a lot of value to agents' lives. It's a beautiful thing.
That's awesome. So I was going to say real quick, AJ, again, social media-wise, your handle, is it at AJ Mida?
Yep. Facebook, Instagram, AJ Mida.
Got it.
Just AJ Mida. Yep.
AJ, we appreciate all your time. I want to tell the audience, AJ and his beautiful wife, Abby, they're dear friends of mine. I love them and miss them. Well, I'm going to visit them in Michigan this summer. They are about to have a baby boy July 24th. A first-time parents. That kid is one lucky kid for sure.
Thank you.
He's going to be one good-looking kid too. So listen, AJ, you're awesome. We love you. And guess who we got on next, AJ?
Dude, I know who you got. You got the man Brent Gove. He's about to bring some fire, so don't go anywhere, guys.
Yes, sir.
We got Brent Gove next. So, AJ, we appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon, pal.
Cool. Thanks, guys. See ya.
See you, bud.
Thanks, AJ. Awesome. Hey, we got Brent logging in here in a second. So I want to share those links down there. You guys can see them in the comments below where to connect with AJ. I wanted to get a quick before we transition. I know we got Brent coming on. He's getting set up, so he's got a couple minutes. But John, you're live, man. I'm bringing you on. Boom.
I'm out. Checking out.
Jay is out. John is in. John, we're transitioning here. We got Brent coming in live. What'd you think of what AJ had to share? I mean, he shared some awesome knowledge bombs, didn't he?
That guy just picks everything up that I do. I don't get that guy. He just comes in, man. That guy is some powerful rock star stuff, right? Man.
That guy, yeah, he's a rock star, and I'm gonna wait till I think Brent's setting up his video, so I'm gonna wait till he's all set. But yeah, what was the biggest takeaway you took away from what AJ had to say, John?
Well, I know you guys were in there and I was coming in and out doing some still work, but that guy, I love his overall mantra is, he's in the business of changing real estate agents' lives. And that's just what he does with every decision that he makes. It's a mindset. It's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Just living my life.
That is awesome. All right. So, Bill, you want to do a little promo? I know you've been friends with Brent for a long time. Ready to rock?
I'm ready to rock with Brent. You guys, I tell you what, you guys, if you don't know Brent Gove, you're going to experience something as we speak. There he is. Brent, buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Is my mic hot? Are we on?
Yeah, you are on. I am so excited to have Brent. Brent, you and I met, oh God, it was almost 2.5 years ago now.
Right.
And where was that, Fort Lauderdale?
We met in, I think it was Fort Lauderdale, in this nice high-end shopping district at this swanky Italian seafood steakhouse, if there even is such a thing. And you came flying in. I watched the front doors open. It was like John Wayne walking into a saloon, man. I didn't know who you are. I didn't know what you look with. I go, but you're like, I'm going to find you. I'll be right there. You were excited. You weren't mad. But you came.
I had no idea what you look like. I had no idea what you look like.
You have a swagger, Bill. I go, that's got to be him. And sure enough, he just came right through the restaurant. I go, we're in the back. And you're like, I'm Bill Price. And it was cool. I remember the moment I met you. Yep.
So I want to tell you guys something about Brent. I've been blessed to know Brent now for about 3 years. And we're always going out. I'm always going out to his events. Grateful enough that he'll ask me to come and speak at his events. And I am surrounded by the most successful agents I've ever seen. Brent was kind enough to actually take me to steak dinner. I hung out with his business partner, James, and his daughter. And I looked down the table, and it's like $1 billion worth of sales. It was like a table of 18. Remember that night, Brent? It was like I looked down the table, all these really successful agents. I was like blown away. So, well, listen, we're here to talk about you today. Okay, and we're going to go back, Father Time. I want to know about what point in time there was something that clicked and you're like, I'm going to be successful. Something that all of a sudden grew inside of you, something maybe you accomplished, or maybe a task was in front of you that you had accomplished. Maybe it was something you did with your dad, maybe something on the ball field. Was there something where you're like, damn it, I can do this. I can almost do anything.
That's funny. Okay. I haven't heard any of your questions. Didn't know this one. This is interesting. You're making me think. I don't think I ever thought about the word success till I was 19. I was in Little League, went to big leagues, played rugby, basketball, soccer, just like any kid, played a lot of sports, was decent at most of them, wasn't a star, didn't get a college a scholarship, nothing like that. But I love sports. And, they're like, what do you want to do the rest of your life? I'm like, nothing, man. I want to water ski and vacation the rest of my life. So I couldn't find a career that fit that. So I go, I'm going to be a teacher, high school teacher, teach U.S. history, and coach rugby and soccer, because those are my two best sports, rugby and soccer. Soccer in the fall, rugby in the spring. Perfect. And have summers off. That people are like, oh, you love kids? No, I love houseboats. I love fishing. Kids are cool. Yes, I love kids, but everyone thinks you want to be a teacher. I go, I just want to get out in May, go back in September. And in my mind, I was going to have June, July, and August off. What career gives you 3 months off? I know it's not like that for teachers now, but in my mind, and I was going to make $60,000 a year. And if I ever got my master's, I'd make $80,000 a year. But I just thought about a career and working my whole life and having a family. That was about it. So 19 is when that moment hit for me. It was 19.
And you do love kids. Share with everyone how many kids you have.
We have 5 and beautiful kids. 7, they're currently 17, 16 to 27. And then some friends of ours tragically passed away about 4 years ago. And we picked up 2 beautiful twin 13-year-olds, a boy and a girl. And now we're mom and dad to them. So we have 7 beautiful children today. And yes, I do love kids.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So tell us how real estate, how did the path of your life get you to real estate?
Man, I got into sales when I was 19. I was a dishwasher, listening to Zig Ziglar with cassette tapes. All the other dishwashers mocked me and made fun of me. Oh, you're going to be successful. You're going to make all this money. And I just like Zig Ziglar and Dr. Dennis Waitley and Jim Rome. And they're talking about goal setting and having a great mental attitude and hey, be careful who you're hanging out with. They're going to rub off on you, and the power of association, and failure's okay, as long as you just keep going. And if you're going through hell, just don't stay there. All those little things. I've been listening to that stuff for, 35 years. And so I got into sales. I did really well. I found out, I'd probably be a great U.S. history teacher, but I'm really good at sales. So I did that till I was 30. And then a friend of mine says, you should get real estate. I'm like, really? Real estate? The funny thing is my mom and dad are real estate brokers. I come from a 55-year real estate family. The thought never crossed my mind till I was 30 years old. My parents were all my rugby games, basketball games, soccer games. They were in the game parents. We had it was like, I'm never doing real estate. No, it wasn't like that at all. My mom was just go to college, get a career, go to college, get a career. And my dad was just like, cool, whatever you want to do, Brent. And so I got in real estate at 30. Yeah.
So Brent, and I want to bring John Smith into this. I think it's so important to educate yourself with whatever you do. And how long you been selling real estate now, Brent?
24 years.
24 years. John Smith, mortgage broker for 20-something years. How important it is to show yourself that you're an expert, to educate yourself, continue your education throughout your career. How important is that when you're sitting down with your clients?
Well, now more than ever. And even more so, Bill, to answer that question, I think it's even just more than talking about guidelines, loan regulations, changes, because the changes come so fast of what something is here one week, the next week it might go back. So I pour a lot into conferences and traveling and picking up from other coaches and getting information that way. I think that is vitally important, because no matter what, even whether you're in real estate or you're in mortgages, we're in sales. And so I think it's important to keep sharp with sales and always engaging in sales and sales activity and that kind of mindset, Bill.
Okay, Brent, with that said, have you ever in your career, now just so everyone knows, Brent has a team of how many people right now in California on your team, Brent?
My personal sales team, I have about 24 agents.
24 agents. They do about $150 million a year. Very impressive in closed volume. Brent, have you ever hired a coach personally?
Oh, of course. Many times. Yeah. Many coaching programs. Yes.
Now, with that said, you have your team of 24 agents. Do any of them look to coaching, or they just look to you?
They some only look to me, the ones who aren't that smart. And just kidding. But the smart ones also pay $1,000 a month for private coaching, right? And their sales are just, I mean, you can have Mac Daddy Brent, and I'm going to help you, but they've been listening to me for years and years and years and years, and I've brought them so far. A coach can actually really, you're paying them, and I hope it costs you a lot of money. I hope you can't afford coaching, because the more you pay, the more you pay attention. Free coaching, you'd start dropping $1,000 a month. You're like, okay, let me get my notepad. What did you say? And your tape recording. And so I hope you spend a lot of money on coaching like I have, and then you have some extraordinary results.
So that's great. I just wrote it down. The more you pay, the more you pay attention. I'm going to use that. Thank you, Brent. So Brent, you and I are old school when it comes to selling real estate, right? We started out farming communities, sending out postcards and market updates and sponsoring, the Easter egg hunt and golf tournaments.
Totally.
And all of a sudden, we look around and there's something called social media, and it's scary, right? And Nick is extremely versed in social media and how to grow your business in social media. I turn to Nick a lot with mine, and I got to incorporate in my business. I don't like it when social media reared its ugly head. How did you incorporate it into your business?
Well, I mean, if I looked like Nick, he looks like a movie star. I would have gravitated to it a lot quicker. But it was sheer dumb accident luck. I shouldn't say that, because I was flying to Craig Proctor super conferences year after year after year after year after year to Toronto and Florida and all over the world, Denver, Phoenix, staying at beautiful resorts, and then meeting agents and people like John the Mortgage Smith. I love that. Why can't I think of something cool? Brent the Real Estate Gove or something. People like Nick, like you. I've been meeting people like the three of you since about 1999. For about 21 years is when I discovered conferences. Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry, Brian Buffini, mega camps. You go to different conferences all over. Howard Brenton's Star Power. The old timers know what I'm talking about. And I started meeting people. And at one of those events, because I spent the money, I flew to Toronto. I got a last minute airline ticket. It was $1,900 just for the round trip ticket in coach. And but I made the decision the night before, and 5 hours later, my alarm went off, and I'm on my way to Toronto because I have a little bit of crazy in me. Like, let's go for it. And I met a guy there named Jay Kinder. And at the time, he was the #1 RE/MAX agent in the world out of Lawton, Oklahoma, population of 120,000, military town. So at that event, I go, Jay, can I fly out and just visit your operations and just shadow you for your day? He goes, yeah, come on out. I flew to Oklahoma City, drove 2 hours out in the middle of nowhere to Lawton, and we ate lunch that day at the Bonanza Buffet. It was like the only restaurant in town. It was hilarious. And but he was doing radio, and he said, yeah, I'm selling 600 homes a year here. Because I met this guy, Matt Wagner, who now does radio and TV Experts LLC. Matt's my guy from Clear Channel. And then I go, Matt, can you teach me how to do this in Sacramento? I mean, everything I've ever done, I copied from somebody else. I don't think I've ever had an original thought, right? And so Matt said yes. And I was Matt Wagner's first client, outside of Oklahoma, Radio and TV Experts LLC, client #1 outside of Jay Kinder, and he flew to Sacramento. Then he got the idea to do it all over the country. The rest is history. He's got a very successful company with Mida. And I copied Jay Kinder, went on the radio, been on the radio for ever since then. It's been like 15, 16 years on one of the top AM stations in the nation. And That was huge for me. Absolutely huge. You go next level.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, I wanted to respond to that too, because Brent, I think something you've done, I want you to shout out some amazing collaboration that you've had with a couple of colleagues of yours as well. I think now more than ever, we have to learn how to work virtually. And there's a podcast that you've got with a couple just icon agents out there. We were built for this, right? And I think that is just, you said, hey, man, John the Mortgage Smith, why can't I think of something like that? Well, I sat there as soon as I saw we were built for this. I'm like, man, that is perfect, man. That sums up everything that, that we're about, is like, we were ready for something like this, COVID pandemic that's happened, right? And so we want to, I think everybody in their business has to be ready to, at any moment, work anywhere in the world at any time virtually. That's not just social media, but that's everything in your business. So tell us a little bit about just, how important it is for each agent out there that's listening to be ready for any road bump, any speed bump in the road, and to be able to work virtually.
Yeah, that's a great point. So Scott Lewis, again, came up with the idea. I've never had an idea. Built for this .live was Scott Lewis's brainchild. I had the idea, hey, let's meet on a Friday night, hang out for an hour. Gene Frederick, Rob Flick, Scott Lewis, me, and James. Like, let's just hang out and get on a Zoom and talk for an hour, and everyone can have a glass of wine or a cigar or a beer or a cup of hot tea, whatever your thing is. So I get credit for just saying, let's get together. But when you get winners together, when you get people who want to succeed and are used to winning, all of a sudden Scott Lewis goes, hey, we should do this. And we're like, done. And we like the next Saturday morning, we did our first Built for This .live, and they're cranking. This Saturday, by the way, we have Michael Valdez, head in charge of international growth for eXp. We were going to open 3 countries this year. Then it went back to 1 because of the pandemic. Now it's up to 8. Oops. There we go. I can't see. I'm looking reverse in this thing. I have a that flips around because it has to have it. It's like in a mirror. My camera's reversed on my. That freaks me out every time I get on here. But and so that has been huge. But we the key to succeeding right now is to be not having big overhead. What's killing all like Pier 1 Imports just announced they're closing every store across America. At least they think they're going to. Why? Overhead. Huge commercial leases and this and that, and they're not have no revenue coming through the doors because buying Pier 1 Imports stuff is not an essential activity unless you own Pier 1 Imports or you're an employee there. Then it's very essential. But they're gone. All the jobs are gone, and we won't get into what all that means. But here's the deal: it's overhead. Now, eXp, we have overhead, but nothing like our fellow big brand, big franchise, big box stores. And they're going down, they're dropping. So we have overhead and nothing like that. But to an agent, what's it mean to you out there if you're an agent? Don't sign big contracts. Don't sign contracts for 5 years, 10 years, 7 years, even 3 years. Do you like my new shindigs here, my new office I had designed and built? Pretty cool.
It's all virtual, right?
It's $90, man. There it is.
Oh, man.
Bright blue sky here in Northern California. I got those big, gorgeous floor-to-ceiling windows. But my team's like, I used to just have that behind me, that little picture of our team going to Maui. And they're like, we gotta dress you up, man. Can you wear something nicer? Wear like a nicer shirt, some cool little, got this at the Cowboy Club in Dallas. And you go, get your hair, shave. We got to dress you up. And so it's hard. They got to do what they can do. But then they came up with this. This isn't my idea, But I hired talented millennials around me who are jiggy with social media, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. And then good, you sort of like Henry Ford. I'm a pretty simple guy, right? I'm going to hug you, I'm going to love you, but I surround myself with people who are smarter than me, and then beautiful things happen.
Brent, great input there. We like that. I do like your background. So I'm going to ask a question to John Smith, and I'm going to give you a minute to think about it, Brent, because it's the same question. You're going to get it. Okay, Brent? So our business partner, Jay Barabee, says we all have a superpower. Okay? So, John, what is your one superpower that you think makes you successful?
I feel that's a great question. So there's two that really resonate with me. Branding and design. I just seem to have this innate ability to see people's names, numbers, be able to quickly get images and visions. So branding and design, I just love to do. That, and other than that, public speaking. Nothing gives me more of a rush than public speaking. When I was a kid, Bill, I always thought I wanted to be a preacher growing up. I always thought I wanted to be the pastor. As a little kid, I never knew why, but I was like, I want to be the pastor. My mom, she still says, remember, and I remember that. And now as an adult, more wasn't so much about the holiness of it. It was, I loved the idea that everybody was eyes on me every Sunday. So public speaking, design, branding, those are my superpowers.
So John doesn't know this, but I had John come up and do some coaching for us at my clubhouse about 6 months ago. Yeah. And we had 3 different speakers that day, and everyone liked someone else. And I leaned over to one of the realtors there and I said, who's your favorite speaker? She said, the guy with the beard, meaning you. He's like, but I had to move back a few tables because he's so loud.
That's right. A lot of energy, man. Yeah, a lot of energy. Absolutely.
She just moved back. She still loves you. So now, Brent, okay, you're so humble, but come on, share with us. What do you think your superpower is?
Well, I like to give credit to the Lord. Like John said, I want to be about a pastor. So for me, that's a personal thing. I won't go beyond that. But that's my super alpha and omega power. I'm going. For me. But to answer your question, I know what you're kind of looking for here. I'm glad you said 2 things, John, because I'm like, oh man, I got 2 superpowers. I don't just have one superpower. Which one do I pick? So God gave me a lot of internal energy. I woke up this morning. I don't get up too early, 6:25 a.m., but I bounced out of bed, man. I'm just excited about life. I got this internal energy. I can turn it on and off. Sometimes I'm in a hammock and I got my leg kicked over the hammock and I'm taking a nap. I'm not like vibrating in a hammock, but I have this innate ability to turn it off and on. And usually I'm just on. I have a lot of internal energy. Then the other superpowers, I really, really, really love people. I think people are fascinating. I care about people. And it always breaks my heart when I meet an agent who says, I can't stand people. I hate people. And oh my God, you're in real estate. Real estate is nothing but clients and agents and people, loan officers and escrow and mortgage and home inspectors and blah, 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 blah. So I think those two things serve me well in the world of real estate or any kind of sales,
Well, I tell you what, Brent, I will tell everyone on the call, when we first met Brent's like a tidal wave, and he called everyone the beast. You're a beast, you're so great. You know what Brent is? Brent has a nickname. He's the love boat. Brent loves and supports everyone. It's so true. Listen, I've been with 3 national companies in my lifetime in real estate. I've been around thousands of realtors. I've never seen anyone give back so selflessly than Brent Gove does. There's no one. So Brent, with that, I'm going to take it. 20
there
years,
are many, but go ahead, Bill. Go ahead.
20 years ago in real estate, you go into real estate office, no one helps you. It was just like, I'm not sharing even my open house flyer with you.
Correct.
Things have changed. Why do you think things have changed? People are helping each other more than ever, I see.
Yeah. Well, 2 things. Be willing to ask questions. Our Built for This Live last Saturday morning was ask. Asking is a form of humility. A lot of people are like, I don't need no help. I'll figure it out myself. That is pride. And pride comes before the fall. You lose that. And one thing I've always been like, when I got in real estate 24 years ago, I wore my parents out. I called my mom and dad 10 times a day. What about this? What about this? What about this? What's a survey? What's a well report? What's a potability? What does potability mean? Well, productivity. That's from a will. They have potability and productivity. And they buried their dog. Do we have to disclose that? Well, yeah, they're going to have bad dreams and sue you because the dog's chasing them. And so and when I got in eXp, it was the same way. Sheila Fair's-Ron, my sponsor, 2 months later, she says, you wore me out. She says, I got to get back to selling real estate. I was calling her. I don't want to bother John the Mortgage Smith. I don't want to bother Nick. He's so busy, and Bill Price. Man, I'm just willing to ask him. You're going to help me? I called her 5, 7, 10 times a day for 2 straight months. But my learning curve went like this. Same thing when I got in real estate here in Sacramento. I think 9 years later, I was I think within 5 years, I was the number 1 RE/MAX agent in Sacramento from scratch. And then within 9 years, I was the number 1 in the state. But I asked so many people for help. I'm like, Bill, you're in Charlotte. I'm in Sacramento. Give me your best secrets to get listings. What is your best marketing material? Because I'm not competing with you in Charlotte. I'm going to take it back to Sacramento. And by the way, have I got some wonderful gems to share with you? You can apply in Charlotte. And so we both come with one idea, but we leave with 2, right? And the power of we exchange ideas and we're better off for it. So I think I got off topic with the question, but hopefully I forgot the question. I'll be honest with you.
No, you did. And I want to bring Nick into this. So Nick, Brent and I will help each other. We'll meet for coffee. We'll have a beer. We'll sit down. We'll write out a plan, right? And so with your young millennial mind, and you're really good at social media, as an agent who helps a lot of people, which you do, Nick, okay, you can help a lot more people through social media, all the different avenues. So explain to us how you do that.
Well, this is what we're doing right now. We're going live. I've been blessed to have the opportunity at my age to be able to influence and help as many people as I can. I've always been a giver. I love just giving back. And I hear that so much reciprocated from John Smith and from Brent and from you, Bill. And I think Brent is right. Like, the times have changed. Like, you got to be willing to ask questions. I always encourage that. I do a class every Wednesday. I'm doing one tonight at 7:00 on KV Core and social media and, CRM stuff. And I spend like half of the time just answering questions. So I'll even mention that, guys. We have a bunch of people commenting and a lot of people watching, but if you guys have questions for Brent, I mean, this is your opportunity. Comment them, put them in the chat. I would love to hear those because that's what we're here for. But to answer your question, Bill, you know, how have I been able to help people? Why do I do it? Because I just think the industry's changed. The key ingredient, the commodity now that people seek is no longer just money. It's, you know, it's audience. And I think everyone out there, when you're thinking about social media, you want to be an influencer. You can be an influencer in a number of different ways. You know, I'll pick on my girlfriend, Annie, for a minute. And, you know, we're like a unit. So I pick on her a lot, and she'll give me crap about this later when she hears it. But I always call her an influencer because why? Well, just last week, she got featured on Vineyard Vines. They have like 3 million followers on Instagram. I'm like, you made it. I'm like, congratulations. We should throw a party. You made it. You're an influencer. And she's like, no, don't call me that. But if you have people following what you do, you are an influencer. And the same applies to real estate. You know, Brent is on our podcast. I know, you know, Brent's got all these different channels and shows that he's on. That's everyone knows the name Brent Gove, but it didn't just happen overnight. Like, you got to give back. You got to be willing to give. And that's why I do it. And I love it. And so, you know, anybody out there that has something to share, be willing to give back, because then it will return itself to you tenfold, 100% every time.
Yes.
Absolutely. Good stuff, Nick. And Nick, by the way, your KB core training, how many classes have you done in the last 2 years?
Oh, I don't know. Probably like well over, it's been a couple hundred. I mean, seriously, I do classes every week. And I've been doing that for 2 years. And then in-person classes, gosh, I don't know. Hundreds.
And how much you get paid for that?
Well, so nothing. I do it just to give back. You know, I've built a team. We got a team here, and you know, obviously I have services that I sell, you know, and I have a partner now that does these services. I'm not a salesy guy, so I'm not going to like plug myself there. I do sell those services, but I really do it ultimately because I love to help people. I love the audience, and I've just gotten to meet so many people. I'm just like Brent. I love people, man. I just love to talk. And I think you put 4 of us, these guys here, we could go on all day probably.
So, Brent, I want to bring it back to old school real estate, okay? What's one thing you did in the beginning of your business that really you implemented it and it really was your foundation? For me, I picked one community and I farmed it and I farmed it and I farmed it. And guess what, Brent? 14 years later, guess what I'm still doing? Farming that community. It works best. So what's the one thing, maybe the first year, 2, 3 years, that you implemented in your business that was your foundation, the money that you could count on coming in? How's that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because the radio, which is where I really made my broke out, I started at $14,000 a month. You know, I mean, that's a chunk of change, right? I mean, 2 months, what is that? 38,000 by the 4th month. Was that $52,000 in 3 months? 4th month, 3 months, $52,000. But I was already successful making money to be able to have a discretionary budget of $14,000 a month to throw at the radio. But then the radio took it to the whole next level. But to answer your question, the first 2-3 years, people don't have a budget. They like to make $14,000 a month. That's not their little discretionary advertising budget. And so for me, it was open houses. I didn't door knock. I didn't call expireds. I didn't farm. I didn't do internet marketing. I didn't do anything but open houses because I copied a company called John Brooks Realty that no one's ever heard of. And he was beating at the time. Keller Williams didn't exist in Sacramento. So he's smoking the 3 big dogs, which was Coldwell Banker, Remax, and Century 21. John Brooks Realty, this no-name independent, was doing more sales than all 3 of those companies with HUD repos. 500 moves you in. And I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, but I'm going to quit working for Remax. I was making $393,000 my 4th year, almost $400,000. I'm like, I was drunk on real estate. I'm like, oh my God, this is like Stephen Legal, or the Fed's going to come in. You know, it's like real estate is a printing press for money. I love people, but I like to make money. Who doesn't? How many of you love to lose in multiple offers? How many of you love to show property for a year and not sell a house? So I want to show property, sell a house. They're happy. I'm happy. I get paid. They get paid. They get a home. Mortgage person's happy. Title. So John Brooks Realty, I'm going to go work for him on a 50-50 split. I'm going to give up $200,000 a year I'm already making to go mentor under that boy. And to learn what he knows, so I'm going to do what he does, because his production was like 30 times more than me. And I'm like, wow, I go from making $400,000 a year. And by the way, at the time, I was working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. So I'm like, how am I going to get beyond the 4? I know. I'll go work for him on a 50-50 split. I was 100% agent RE/MAX. But I realized, don't make it about the money. Make it about learning and education. Well, I stumbled across his open house system. And I went in and my eyes were this big, and there were 80 people at the property. I'm like, that's not normal for an open house. And it was unbranded. And then I go in there, and these 2 ladies are sitting in the garage at card tables and just taking offers on the place. I'm like, who are you? They go, we're John Brooks Realty. And it was like a bolt of lightning went through me. And then I just started analyzing everything. I'm documenting, I'm taking notes, and I just flat copied that boy. I copied him. 5 years later, I went from 48 sales a year to 429 sales a year.
Wow.
From 48 to 400, like 10 times growth, because I copied something that was brilliant. It was brilliant. And if anybody ever wants to see that, you just go to BrentGoveResources.com, click on real estate training and Brent's mega open house program. It's all right there. 90 minutes of the best training I've ever done. Boom. I mean, I just nailed it. It was a mic drop event, and someone happened to FaceTime live and it went viral. Take it, use it, go succeed. But that is, to answer your question, Bill, that's what I did. That's what I believe in. That's what I teach that team. Wrong way. That team over there that we take to Maui in the Caribbean every year. We're literally booking our flights this week to Maui. They're like 250 round trip. It's great. The hotels are $10 a night. It's awesome.
Hey, we're going to get to your team in 1 second, but I want to finish up what we were just talking about, investing in yourself. So for the average, well, let's say the average, but let's pick a round number. Let's say you're an agent, you're 3-4 years in, you're making $100,000 a year, or not $100,000 a year. You're bringing in $100,000 in gross commission. How much of that, Brent, percentage-wise, should you be reinvesting back into your business?
I wish I'm a pretty expensive guy. What'd you say? I was like a speedboat when you met me or something. I'm more like a snowball going down a Swiss Alp. So I know I'm supposed to know the numbers, and I'm not analytical. I'm a sanguine driver. High I, high D. My I's higher than the D. So I never did. I know, Bill, you are very Excel spreadsheet numbers. I don't know my numbers. I honestly, I don't have an answer to that. How's that for an honest answer?
I don't know about your numbers, but do you think an agent spend $1,000 or $10,000 a year or $20,000 a year? Because I find most agents spend zip. They don't want to invest.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, for sure, spend the actual percentage. I know the Craig Proctor comes out, Gary Keller comes out. Everyone's got their percentages. Me, I got the personality. If I see something that John the Mortgage Smith or Nick, do I pronounce that Macri? How do I say that, Nick?
Macri.
Macri, I'm sorry.
Italian. There it is.
Sorry, dude. I just call you Nick. I apologize. So, but if I see something Nick's doing that's brilliant, I'm going to copy it. And it could mean I'm going in 30% on the advertising. I don't know. I look at it. If I got the money, I'm going to try this. And I failed more than I've succeeded. But here's the key to everyone. Be willing to fail. Put your chin out there. Be responsible. Don't have this, like, this will devastate me financially the rest of my life. Don't do that. But I have tried so many things, but willing to put my chin on the line. I found things that worked. And my 2 claims to fame, 3 claims would be team building. I'm great at that. I love my team. I love my tribe. 2 is the open house system. I could go anywhere and just kill it anywhere with that program. And number 3 is radio. That's how I ended up becoming a listing agent and carrying 18 to 28 listings at all times. Was from copying Jake Kinder on the radio. And I was free from buyers, love buyers, but I got free from them because there's freedom. Once you become a listing agent, you can leave Thursday evening, come back Tuesday morning, present all your offers Tuesday evening, and sell 5 homes. And while everyone showed property all weekend and worked 14-hour days like I used to, I'm in Carmel, Napa, Lake Tahoe, Palm Springs, Las Vegas, Scottsdale golfing. I'll be in Scottsdale golfing next week. And when you become a listing agent, I love buyers. I think it's more rewarding than selling people's homes. And but man, I wanted a life. I have all those kids and a wife and a 29-year marriage. So that's why you hear these cliches. You got to list last. And I found it to be true for me. It was just, life was so much more manageable as a listing agent. And radio is what brought me to the promised land with listings and copying Jay Kinder.
Yeah, so Brent Gove just said team building, open houses, and radio. That was his success. Now, Brent, our chat is blown up. Nick, you want to go over a few questions you can throw at Brent?
Yeah, I love what you said too. We're gonna have Jeff Willems on in a couple of weeks, and he always says, have a great R&D department no matter where you go. Rip off and duplicate, baby. That's all it is. Rip off and duplicate. So let's go to the comment.
It's not terrible, but we know what you mean. Copy. Yeah.
R&D, man. R&D. Sounds a little bit better. But yeah, we have some comments here. Alina is asking, she says she has great internal energy as well. I think part of her comment got cut off, but I think she was asking, I looked on my phone, how do you balance, having such a busy schedule? What are some time blocking strategies that you, Brent Gove, you just said 14 hours a day, man, how do you do so much?
Well, I don't do that anymore. That was back when I was working with buyers, because they call you at anniversaries, birthday parties. You're going to Tahoe for the weekend with your sweetie, and can I see this one house? And you go, honey, can I show this one house? And then, of course, they won't want to make an offer. They want to make an offer and all that. So what I learned to do was to decide when I was going to work and when I was going to play. And when it was playtime, it was playtime. And when it was work time, it was work time. And then you have a lifetime. You have a lifetime of memories with your children. You have a marriage that will hold up and not get divorced. I think a lot of people get divorced in this country, 50% divorce rate, because one of the spouses or both of them are working 80, 90, 100 hours a week, and they're not organized. So sit down with a cup of coffee and a yellow notepad. My yellow notepad's over there, and design, okay, I'm taking do not work 7 days a week. I think I'm a super nice guy. I don't say that. I think you're a fool. Don't work 7 days a week. You'll be more effective working 5 or 6. Real estate will consume all the time you give it. You want to give it 7 days a week? How do you do it? You need if you're married, your spouse needs you. If you have children, your kids need you. You need to take a day off and just be with them. I'm a proponent of at least a day off. God, the Alpha and the Omega, he took a day off. If he rested on the 7th day, I think you should too. Now, if you don't believe that, fine, do what you want. That's just my person. And then decide when you're gonna. People say, well, you're so regimented. You have dating your wife in your calendar. Yeah, because it won't happen. And so guess what we're doing tonight? We're going out because in my calendar, we go out Saturday nights. We take our kids out. I go to church Sunday mornings. I go to Bible studies. I have I golf every Friday morning and have for 20 years. I have not missed a golf thing. When Keller Williams hired me as a team leader, I go, good, you got to pay me this, this, and this. Bonus is up to here. And I will never, ever, come into the office and on a Friday morning because I golf. It is sacred to me. I've been golfing with my pastor, the associate pastor, and my church's administrator, which is James Stroop. They had downsized him in the last crash, and then I picked him up, and now he administrates me instead of 1,900 people. Everybody needs a handler. So James is amazing. And so just design your schedule and then stick with it. If it's time to go fishing, go. I got a $4 million listing. To heck, I'm going to say it. Get edgy. To hell with the $4 million listing. You need to go do hot yoga or plant an organic garden or go duck hunting and blast things out of the skies. I don't duck hunt. Not against duck hunters. But if it flies, it dies. I know your guys' little mottos. Yeah. I'm a golfer. I got my golfer things, right? So it was funny. No, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. But anyway, so come up with a schedule and live by your calendar. You'll succeed wildly. You'll be happier, that sort of thing.
Hey, Brent, it was for 6 years, I sold 60 homes a year all by myself. It was just on the hamster wheel. It never stopped. I never had a day off, ever, ever, ever. Real estate will take over your life. And then I got lucky with Craig and Shirley saying, let's talk, and you need to talk to Brent Gove. Okay. And it did change my life because now we both work for an amazing company. And guess what? There's times where I have 3 days off. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? We're talking about spending money, Brent. You said invest in yourself. In that one community I farm, guess what? This year is the first time I'm spending 3 times what I usually spend because I just want to own the community.
Now, Bill, I want to jump in there because that's a good point, and I want to kind of lift you up. You keep using the word farm, Bill, and you use it. And I get that's the technical term, but here's what I'm really hearing. You are connected to that community. And what my point is that's a change of mindset. You use the word farming, but Bill, you are connected to that community because then the money that you spend, it becomes relevant. When you're farming, it's a decision I have to spend money. When you're connected to a community, it's an opportunity for you to spend money. And so why I bring that up is because if I'm sure everybody's hearing it, is it's vision and it's momentum. Everything Brent's been talking about, Nick's been talking about, you've been talking about farming. It is about momentum and vision. So things like, there you go, man. Exactly. When you get in that body blow, momentum, when you get in that momentum, it's hard to make you stop. And so what I'm getting at is in terms of spending money on coaching or spending money on farming, connecting to your community, when you're or radio, $14,000 a month. When you're doing that, you can't wait to look for the next opportunity to be connected with something. I just had to add that in there, man. I love spending money on my business. I spend $1,000 on a coach. I spend $1,500 a month on a podcast coach. I spend almost $3,000 in lead generation. I love spending money because it brings me so much opportunity and keeps my momentum going.
Good.
Yeah. And you know, Brent, you probably have a Bill Price on your team. I looked at it at a macro level where I'm going to take this one community. I'm going to do postcards. That's farming, or send out flyers. I'm going to sponsor everything they basically do as much as I can. Golf tournaments, Easter egg hunts, New Year's Eve, whatever it is. And now Nick obviously posts on, and Nick is teaching me on their social media page, the community webpage and stuff. But let's bring it now, Brent, to your team. You have a team, okay? When did you decide to build a team, and how did that first evolve? Because you weren't a team right away.
Yeah, I was an individual agent. It was 1999. It's going to party like it's 1999, baby, little Prince there. And, Y2K was there. Everyone was freaked about Y2K like it was the pandemic. Pandemic was way more than Y2K ever was. But anyway, by the way, it's a funny side story I just have to tell you. I don't know what you did on Y2K, but my wife and I aren't big New Year's Eve people, so I'm embarrassed to tell you this, but we were in bed at 11:45, and we weren't even watching the ball drop. We got little kids. We're tired. We're exhausted, man. And we're calling it a night, man. We're not even watching the ball drop. And about maybe 11:40, I go, honey, I got to go. I'll be right back. And she says, where are you going? I go, I'm going to Rich's house. And he was the best man at my wedding. And he lived about 8 miles away. And I get in my car, I race to his house. I get there like 2 minutes to midnight. Rich had inherited guns from his dad. His father had passed away. And he's got like 30 guns, and he never owned a gun. And then he bought water and firewood and chili to cook because we're not going to have any power because Y2K is going to ruin the world as we know it. And so he was freaked out. And I knew what Rich would be watching that ball drop. I jump over his fence into his backyard, go to the main power box to his house, and the whole neighborhood goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exactly 3, 2, 1. Bam! I hit the main to his house and cut off all of his power exactly at midnight. He's sitting his family cleaning one of his long-range rifles, shining it, watching that ball drop. Who's the guy? Dick Clark, the ball drop. Yeah. And he had all of his blinds closed because he was kind of freaked out. People were going to take his food. He's ready. But he didn't light any candles, so he is draped. He could see his hand in front of his face. His heart starts racing. I jump over the fence. I go over the front door, double doors. I'm pounding on him. Let us in. I'm screaming, and I'm blowing the door off the hinges. I realized he's probably going to shoot through the door. But that is how I spent Y2K. Way off topic, but I just had to do that. That was fun.
That's great.
I know. I'm sorry, Bill.
And how does this relate to how you started your real estate team?
Yes. I'm going to tell him my favorite story. It's my favorite.
And then he listed his house with you.
He was a mortgage broker. He could get me back in 1,000 years. He can get me back in a millennium. So here's the deal. In 1999, I flew to Toronto and went to my first real estate conference. Craig Proctor, #1 RE/MAX agent in the world, and I flat copied Craig Proctor. He said, "You get an assistant, or you are an assistant. They're $14 an hour. No, I'm $100 an hour. No, you're $14 an hour because I can't afford it. Then you're not $100 an hour. Just admit I'm a $14 an hour professional. I am not. And they get an assistant, but I can't afford it." He goes, "Take the gamble. So get an assistant, or you are one, and delegate. You do not need to do all those things like call the title company, call the roofer, check on the appraisal, order this, order a sign up, order a sign down, put on a lock, all that little stuff that sucks up your day. And you're like, oh, I forgot to call the Smiths back. And it's an $800,000 listing, dummy, right?" And so I built a team because of Craig Proctor, and I ended up by 2005, I had 47 buyer's agents. So I just, most people get 2, 3, 4, 5. I just kept going. So I had 47 buyer's agents on my team in 2005, and we just killed it. We're like a B-12 going down the interstate. You just roll with the big team, right? Like the stagecoach with the Anheuser-Busch with all those horses pulling the stagecoach. It was so much fun, and I still do it today. 24 agent team. It's great.
Wow, that's really impressive. Hey, Nick, how does one like Brent build a team now and implement some social media practices, building that team, maybe attracting agents? How do we do that?
Well, I think it goes back to what John was saying earlier, is like, make sure that you are connected, like have the audience, grow it, build it, get the following. That's what all of us are doing right now. I mean, we got people watching on like 4 different platforms, and we're streaming all over the place. So, if you want to be that guy, you want to build a team, be likable like Brent. Brent, I've always said, man, plenty of people have said this about you, but I've always said that like you are the most likable, charismatic guy I think I've ever met, bar none. You and John, like always in a competition, just within my sphere, like.
The problem is with Brent now, when we go to our yearly real estate convention, he's like Elvis. I actually feel bad for him. Everyone wants to say hi to Brent. You have to catch Brent like early in the morning where you get 5 minutes with him. Maybe when he's waiting to get picked up to play golf, whatever. That's the only time you get him. Now, Brent, let's talk about your team.
And Bill, I'm going to bring it back to that.
Oh, no, sorry, Nick, go ahead.
No, I was just going to bring it back to that team, though. But, like, that's part of the magic. That's the magic sauce for how do you grow a team? How do you be that guy? Well, Brent, you just said it. Like, either you get an assistant or you are one. But to be in that position where you're going to get an assistant, or people, want your assistance, right? You have to have them be like your #1 fan, like have a raving fan club, right? Like you said, Bill, like Brent is Elvis sometimes at these conventions. Everyone wants to talk to Brent because everyone wants to pick his brain because that's the persona, and you're a giver, Brent, and we appreciate, your time today and what you've done for everyone, on this call listening. And so I think that's this #1 step, is like to start a team now, or for new agents out there, or anybody trying to work on their business and gain momentum during these times. It's all about, okay, hunker down. Jay Barabee said a couple of weeks ago on our coaching call, he said, here's a flip the script. When you're calling all your clients, don't tell them, hey, I know I know a lot of bad stuff going on. He said, start off by telling them, hey, I've got good news for you, right? You start by doing things like that. You're flipping the script. They want to know you, because now anytime you call them or people know you, if you're always staying positive, they want to hear more. They want to be around you. Don't be that negative Nancy, be that positive Brent. That's what I say.
John, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I did. You've heard the old phrase, dress for the job you want, right? And you were talking about social media and how you do that. Well, that's what social media is. It's an opportunity that you get to everybody to see you. So don't just sit back and wait for, dressing for the job that you have. Go on social media, be that person, be that influencer, and dress for the job you want. That's the mindset that you need to have with social media.
Absolutely. Brent, before we let you go, I got 2 more questions.
All right.
You bring your team on a vacation every year. It's got to cost you tens of thousands of dollars. Okay. Tell us about one of your trips and tell us, how that helps with team building, how it helps your team, whatever. Just share with us.
Yeah. So, let's say you just have a buyer's agent or 2. Plan a trip to the Caribbean. It's inexpensive. Last November, we were in the Caribbean on the the Adventure Voyager of the Seas, one of the largest cruise ships Royal Caribbean makes. Not a popular topic right now, I get that. But back then it was amazing. And it was some of the cabins were like $20,000 for a week per couple. Some are 15, some are 10, 7. And it was deep Caribbean, the best. They have like 5,000 guests and 3,000 employees. So it's like one employee for every 2 guests, 1.5 guests. The service, it's amazing. So you can do that. Well, I can't afford that. It's $1,600. That's it, to bring a husband and a wife to the Caribbean for a week, 7 nights, 7 days. Their food, their entertainment, their cabin, their lodging, and they can get a fly down themselves on some mileage. You didn't have to pay for the flight down there, but literally it's $1,600. And so that trip I brought I think 64 people to the Caribbean with me. I bring staff, I bring agents, I bring their spouses. So there are like 64 of us, and we had a blast. And I think the trip is probably the least expensive trip I've ever done. It was like $42,000 or something. I don't remember the numbers of it. It might have been more, but it's $1,600 for 2, right? And so
your pastor too, because you called me from the bathroom.
Yeah.
And
I brought actually my pastor, the assistant pastor, the missions guy, my old pastor, another pastor. I think I had 5 pastors on the trip. So if anybody kicked the bucket, we had them, covered. We were going to send them off. But I always bring about 5 pastors on every trip I do. So we're going to Maui this November, and as long as Maui opens up, we'll be there. And probably have 70 people this year. And that trip costs a lot more. That one's probably $120,000. But I didn't start off that way. So for those of you, you start off just, it's not a big amount of money once you get your act together. And so, and you think, well, geez, what if that's a lot of money? Well, if 2 or 3 of your key leaders quit and you're making 30, 40,000 a year, that's 60 to 80,000 a year in revenue you've lost. I'd rather spend the money on a trip, get the tax deduction, bless them. Their family and friends goes, he's taking you where? To Maui, on the beach, not to 5 blocks back. Beautiful, gorgeous resort on the beach. We're going to eat macadamia nut, banana pancakes every morning. And go out and have, you get the idea. And the camaraderie that's built there, my team loves each other. Man, we vacation together. We build sand castles on the beach with our children. So it's a huge deal, but you could do it very inexpensively. You don't have to go to Maui, you can go to the Caribbean. So there you go.
So Brent, you and I have sold a lot of homes, and hopefully you can help me with this because I need some help. I could be at the mall with my wife, and all of a sudden a past client from 8 years ago is like, "Hey Bill, how you doing?" And I'm like, I forgot their name, and I have to introduce them to my wife. How do you remember the name? So what do you do?
Well, I mean, my wife and I have a deal. I go, honey, if I go, oh, honey, you got to meet my client. I go, come here, meet my wife, Kathy. This is Kathy. She knows that means I can't remember your name. If Kathy doesn't hear, this is Bill. This is Nick. This is John. I go, oh my gosh, come here, meet my wife, Kathy. I go, honey, I'm begging you. You've got to say, oh yeah, hi, I'm Kathy. What's your name? I'm Bill. And then I'm just smiling like, oh yeah, I forgot to say Bill. So I actually developed a technique I do. Anyone who knows me well, I go, if I don't introduce Nick, John, or Bill, it's because I'm blanking. We all blank. And today, I have over 10,000 agents in my organization in 4 countries, every state. And I cannot remember everybody. I want to so bad. And so I think the main thing too is when you blank, just admit it. I go, I'm sorry, what was it again? Nick. I go, yes, Nick. I go, man, I asked because I care. I'm going to get it. You come up to me tomorrow. I'm going to get it. I got it, Nick. And I just won't go, hey, remember that high school? Hey, what's up? I can't remember you. Hey, so no, hey, hay's for horses. You're a human being. Don't be afraid to try to, and I do silly word association games. This is going to sound, I shouldn't do it, but I'll do anything to remember. So if Nick's with a beautiful woman, I go, Nick's with the hot chick, I know that sounds terrible, but it helped me remember little things. Bill always pays the bill at the restaurant. I know it's silly, but it works. And I Bill restaurants, oh yeah, he always pays the bill. It's Bill, that's his name. It's Bill. And so I try to do word association with your name, silly little games like that. I wasn't meaning to be offensive to women when I said that, but I was giving you an example of how I try to remember names. And that was probably a really poor example, but it's what came to my mind real quick.
I can look right at my client and say, I forgot, but I asked because I care. That's a good way.
Yes.
I like that. So before I let Nick close us out and bring us home here, Brent, tell everyone about August.
August, yes. We are going to Dallas, Texas. I'm so glad we're doing it in Texas. If there's one state that's going to let us do what we want to do, it's Texas. We are going to have a giant room with thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of agents in it. And we're going to wash our hands. We're going to, I don't think we'll have masks on. If you're like, well, I want a mask on, we're going to have lounges that hold 400, 500, 600 people. You can go over there. So if you're really concerned about, so now if this is unsafe and something the state of Texas will not allow, we will not do it. We will follow the regulations and the state regulations. And if you're like, well, I am not comfortable with that, hey, you can stay home and watch it somehow. I'm sure we'll but we got Tony Robbins flying in his G4, and it's going to be massive, and it's going to be life-changing. It's going to be at the Gaylord Resort in Dallas, August 26th, 27th, 28th. I'll say this. Tony's been cooped up, shut down, locked up, has not been able to get on stage and share in front of a group by the time August rolls around for months and months and months and months. That is
explode.
He is going to go like a volcano. I said he's not going to rip the cover off the ball. He's going to actually rip the cover off the ball and eat the ball. Yeah. And you're going to see Tony Robbins like you've never seen him. He's scheduled for 3 hours. It cost me $250,000 to have him share for 3 hours. I don't know what you get paid for 3 hours. I don't get $250,000. He does. You might want to come hear what he's going to say. The $197 tickets sold out. I did a little fire on Monday. I was all fired up, and it just sold out. We have $297, we have $497, and $997. $997 gets you right in front of the stage where you're looking up at him. You can see his sweat, his eyeballs, the whites of his eyes. But the $297 are further up, so we did have $197 for 3 days, including Tony Robbins. Those did get bought up. But yeah, there you go. And you can find that at brentgove.com. Click on upcoming events, and then click on the Leadership Dallas event that is happening by Gene Frederick, Rob Flick, Scott Lewis, and others. And James and I were putting together this huge event. It's not my event. It's a leadership event, but Glenn Sanford's flying in, Jason Gessing, Dave Kennord, our president, our CEO, founder of the company, the board, everybody's flying in for this. It's going to be the biggest gathering eXp's ever done. We will only do it if it's super safe and appropriate.
We're going to be all set, Brent. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be fine. Everything's going to be safe. And I know you said it's a team leader event, but I know how much you and James guide that event. I know how much time and effort you guys put in. Your events, bar none, are the best events I've ever been to.
Thank you.
I appreciate all your support. You've been awesome. Nick, you want to take us home?
Yeah, I'll just take us home with this, guys. So many people saying thank you on the different chats. We're in like a bunch of different groups here. And we're going to be doing a lot more of these. So we thank you, Brent, so much. If you guys listening want to plug in, we have a public mastermind. It's facebook.com/groups/realistic realtors. That's our group. We're going to be sharing all of this stuff and more, having awesome speakers like Brent, not quite on the Tony Robbins level yet. We haven't been able to afford someone like that in our group quite yet, but we will get there. I promise you that. So Brent, thank you so much for your time. Everybody out there listening, hope everyone crushes it this week. You want to leave us with something, Brent?
Go do it, man. Go fail forward and just put your heart into it. Go do it.
I love it.
Brent, thank you so much, pal. I love you, man.
Love you guys.
Bye, guys.